Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you like this watch, you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. Today we are discussing a mid-size Patek Philippe. From a kinder and gentler era, 1981, the first mid-size Patek Philippe Nautilus, the 3800 was created, and this dial, with its traditional stick indices and baton hands, continued to run until the dial was redesigned with Roman numerals in 1996. Thus, this watch, a mid-size traditional monoblock case, the construction as designer Gerald Genta originally intended it, is a traditional Patek Philippe Nautilus in every respect, of dial, of construction, and of stance. Now, the timepiece does work well on a smaller wrist. I can endorse it for a wrist as small as 13 centimeters in circumference, but you'll note it fits well on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. And there are two ways to measure the size of this watch. If you measure from approximately 130 to 730 across the diagonal of the case, you're going to find it's about a 35 millimeter timepiece. Now, if you measure across, you will find that the timepiece is about 37.5 millimeter across its winglets. The timepiece is wonderfully slim, however, as I measure it just 7.3 millimeters thick with a generously sloped case flank. This is an easy one to fit underneath absolutely any cuff, and if you measure intermediate link to intermediate link across the case, you're going to find 42.5 millimeters is the span across the wrist. A very comfortable and wearable watch, and also iconic in form. There's absolutely no mistaking what this is. Yellow gold works best in small doses, either traditional case proportions or in handsome and tasteful accenting rolls, and this watch has both. The yellow gold is well chosen for the bezel, and you'll note it makes for a dramatic contrast in profile where you can see the junction between the monoblock case and the bezel clamp structure, helping the watch to achieve the Nautilus standard 120 meter water resistance. It's even more handsome as you run down the links of the bracelet. Now, the bracelet, constructed traditionally and beautifully made, you can see the contrast between the polished intermediate links and the satin finished tops of the main links is quite striking. Nicely executed, everything you see on this bracelet is as Patek intended, so though an older model, it is not showing its age. The bevel is perfect, symmetrical across links, impeccably aligned with the flare of the bevel on the lug hood, the bevel continuing down, perfectly aligned across the links, and like the best of Nautilus and Royal Oak bracelets, you can feel that there's a smooth sweep, and you can see a taper, but you can't feel the steps as these links neck down. That's how perfect the tolerances are. You'll note that on the underside, there is just enough of a gap to avoid trapping heat, pinching skin, or pulling hair. Ergonomic excellence, aided and abetted by a very slim profile and a silky wrist feel. You'll note back then, Patek Philippe used screws to size removable links. Today it's pins and sleeves. As with the monoblock case, sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The clasp uses a clamshell security system, so the clamshell closes everything and seals everything down once you close the double swing arms, and you can see the Calatrava cross blazoned on the top, the emblem of the mark. It's also relatively low in profile. If you're used to dive clasps, this is far more compact. The clasp itself is fully finished, all of high polish, and has a nice arced profile to trace the underside of your wrist with comfort and conformity. The case is nicely made and very slim. As you can see, under 7.5 millimeters makes this solidly an ultra-thin automatic watch. You can just see the bezel gasket expressed. As with the original Royal Oak and the original Nautilus, the faint expression of the bezel gasket was an intentional styling feature of the watch intended by Genta. Let's get closer and improve the focus because we're a little bit out of sorts. The bezel is perfectly finished. You can see it was always a sort of combination between an octagon and a circle, and you can still see the definition of those muted 8 corners, as well as a perfect striation of a satin finish top and a perfectly rounded polish on its curved flanks. The dial is what you expect from a Nautilus. Horizontally striated, metallic blue, and blessed with applied, not printed indices. Now you will note this is both a tritium dial and a sigma dial. Sigma marks abreast of the Swiss signature were present on Patek watches from the 70s through the late 90s. They're sometimes also called a priori marks after the Swiss gold trade group that promoted the identification of gold components as well as solid gold dials on Swiss watches. So those are the sigma or a priori marks. All of the indices are 18 karat, as are the hands at center. The indices are all original factory tritium. The hands for the hours and minutes are factory 18 karat yellow gold luminova replacements. So there will be a lume shot at the end of this video so you can see the distinction between the two. You'll also note that the date disc is present and correct. There is a quick set for the date. There is not a hacking seconds system, and that continues to this day in the 5711. This watch, though, is constructed in the traditional fashion, unlike the 5711. You can see that case back as well as the mass of the lower case are all one piece, and underneath is the caliber 330, a Patek Philippe manufacturer automatic whose name, 330, describes precisely the 3.3 millimeter thickness of the caliber. Free-sprung gyro max balance, adjusted in 5 positions. It features the Geneva hallmark, 29 jewels, and its automatic winding of a 21,600 vibration per hour system endows it with 45 to 48 hours of power reserve when fully wound. And even though it does feature a push-down crown, because of the monoblock case construction and solid seals, the case can still achieve its factory-rated 120 meter water resistance. Thin, beautiful, and nuanced, this is the kind of Nautilus that will attract a traditionalist. If you're looking for a kinder and gentler era of watch production, as well as a more discreet era of Patek Philippe, you can't go wrong with the versatile, handsome, and classically constructed Nautilus midsize 3800. With the pre-1996 dial, it's as traditional as they come. See it and own it on the watch box. And we're back with the Nautilus midsize 3800. As you can see, original tritium dial base with factory luminova replacement hands. Bit of the best of both worlds. You can still tell time after dark, and you get the original sigma tritium dial. See it and make it yours on the watch box.